Blah, 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 blah. Okay.
Got it. How now, brown cow?
How brown now cow?
No, it's how now, brown cow.
How now, brown cow? How now, brown cow?
The ostrich went out to the orthodontist.
Hey, what's up, movie maniacs? I'm Zach.
And I'm Matt.
And this is the previews, everybody's favorite part of the movie. So, with the holiday season just passing us and a lot of movies being released, we definitely missed some over the past few weeks, so we're playing a little bit of catch up. So, for our next movie review, we decided to do Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Let me ask you this question, as I always do. Is this more Spider-Man 2, or is this more Amazing Spider-Man 2?
I'm very in the middle with this movie.
Oh, wow.
Very in the middle.
I'm very surprised you said that.
Obviously, I'm not a fan of superhero movies, and this movie still has that same cookie cutter formula. But it does do some stuff different as well.
Okay. And I think, again, with superhero movies, I love the cookie cutter formula. However, I thought there was a lot of unique twists in it as well, so I fairly enjoyed this movie. I thought it was more Spider-Man 2 than it was Amazing Spider-Man 2. So go ahead, what'd you like about it?
Animation was awesome.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It was really, really cool. Just haven't really seen anything like it before. Like, I never really seen a movie
a comic book movie look like a comic book.
Exactly, and have it just move so fluently, and just the colors and everything. Like, I felt like I was in a comic book.
100%. I would say this is definitely the most comic book movie of comic book movies. It was great. It was very unique. Lord and Miller, they were the ones who behind the Lego Movie, and Lego Movie had a very unique animation style as well. I think they just copy and paste that over here, and it spoke volumes to me. It was great.
The next thing I guess I will talk about is the story was definitely different than your standard superhero movie.
Yes.
I liked how this Miles story was definitely different because we're all used to Peter Parker and that whole formula. But I did enjoy that element too. But again, I knew how it was gonna end from 30 minutes into the movie. I knew what was gonna happen. And I felt like also it was a little too long for me. I feel like if it shortened it down maybe by 15, 20 minutes, I probably would have liked it more.
Okay.
Because by the time the final act started,
you're already exhausted.
I'm exhausted. I kind of was like sitting there tapping my foot like, okay, when's this final act going to come on? Because I also knew what the final act was going to be.
Yeah, and like I said, I do disagree with you on that because I feel with this particular movie, especially with the Spider-Verse, there's all these alternative Spider-Mans, and just like in the comics, and it doesn't show much in the live-action movie, there are a bunch of different Spider-Mans. There is Peter Parker, there's, Gwen Stacy becomes Spider-Man in a few of the stories. Miles Morales, of course, that is another big one that's incorporated into this and is the main character and really does shine a lot. But that could have got very convoluted and very complicated. It made it simple about how all these Spider-Mans came to be and how they did. I'll give a shout out to Nick Cage, who did Noir Spider-Man. It was great. That's another comic. So they really encompassed all of their personalities and all of their stories into one. It didn't make it complicated. It felt very fluid, and it was great. So for it being a little bit longer than I would say a traditional animated movie was, I felt this was an animated movie made for adults and made for adult lovers of comics, because comics right now, they're not just kid stories. They get into some adult territory. Not saying that this one definitely got into adult territory, but it does take an adult mind to appreciate all the nuances and all the characters coming into the story.
And there was some adult humor jokes thrown in there. There were definitely some parts I caught myself really laughing
Absolutely.
at.
And I would say this is almost along the lines of, if you haven't seen it, the Lego Batman movie in that terms, because there was a lot of stories that they went ahead and they brought up, not going to spoil anything, but they did a lot of callbacks to some things that we didn't like about particular Spider movies, and they do that in Batman, and it works.
It was hilarious.
It was hilarious. There was a lot of Easter eggs and callbacks from Spider-Man movie past where you could go ahead and enjoy it. Now, for this movie being animation and with another live-action Spider-Man movie coming out, I totally get why they went animated with this route, because I feel like this movie could not have done what it did if it was live action.
No, that's definitely a very good point.
This movie isn't fitting into the MCU, nor does it want to be. It wants to be its own separate entity because, Sony obviously owns the rights to Spider-Man. Disney owns the rights to pretty much every other Marvel character other than Spider-Man, but putting these two together, it would be like oil and water. It wouldn't mix well. But this one on a standalone movie, I would love to see more movies like this and see what Sony can do, because they let us down so many times before. But this is a callback. This is getting back to the Sam Raimi movies that I grew up with and I loved. So yeah, overall, what are you giving it?
I'm going to give it 3.5 goobers out of 5.
Okay. For me personally, like I said, I love this movie. Overall, I'm going to go ahead and give it 4.5 Spider-Man ice creams out of 5. I really loved it. What Aquaman did for you, this movie did for me. So I loved it.
Alrighty, well that's it, Movie Maniacs. Thank you for stopping in. So remember, be sure to subscribe, hit that thumbs up, and hit that bell so you don't miss anything. And we will see you next time on the previews.
See you later.